Hello there. We're looking at John's Gospel, and today we're in chapter 1, and I'm going to look at verses 14 to 18. So let me read those to you anyway. So the Word became human and made his home among us. He was full of unfailing love and faithfulness. And we have seen his glory, the glory of the Father's one and only Son. John testified about him when he shouted to the crowds, "This is the one I was talking about when I said, 'Someone is coming after me who is far greater than I am, for he existed long before me.'" From his abundance we have all received one gracious blessing after another. For the law was given through Moses, but God's unfailing love and faithfulness came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God, but the unique one, who is himself God, is near to the Father's heart. He has revealed God to us. So John in this gospel is trying to prove who Jesus was and is. And right at the beginning here he's giving some context from the scriptures that people will be familiar with. And he describes Jesus, talks about Jesus as the Word, as he's described in the Old Testament. Now, I think when I read through this, there were a couple of challenges which I want to put to you today. A couple of coincidences of date as well, because the day that I got a message from Ian saying, would I do this talk, was the day that Michael Collins, the Apollo 11 astronaut, died. And there were things on the TV, on the news, tributes to him. Michael Collins, if you don't remember, was the one from Apollo 11 who didn't walk on the moon. But one of the clips they showed was him talking about the profound effect it had on him of seeing the Earth from that great distance, from being so detached and realising what was out there. I mean, he knew what was coming. The Apollo 8 and other astronauts had been there before, so they would have described to him what he would see, but nothing quite prepared him for the reality of it. And I think if you look at this description here of what John the Baptist was doing, I don't think he was quite prepared for the reality of it either. Yes, he knew Jesus was coming. God had told him what sign to look for, the dove. He would know it was Jesus. But when it happened, he wasn't quite ready for it. You can tell. He shouted to the crowds, "This is the one I was telling you about." And that's where the first challenge struck me. One day we'll see Jesus face to face. Will we be able to shout to the crowds, to the family and friends and strangers around us, "This is the one I've been telling you about"? If not, why not? What have we been doing with our time if we've not been telling people about Jesus? That's challenge number one. The second one, John goes on to talk, and he talks throughout this section about Jesus being full of unfailing love, about us receiving one gracious blessing after another. And he talks about the fact that no one has seen God but by seeing his son Jesus. Now, the day I'm recording this, another coincidence of date, happens to be the feast day of Julian of Norwich, the 14th century recluse. You might think that she's probably as far removed from the astronaut Michael Collins as it's possible to get, but it struck me that both of them spent time in total isolation. They both spent time in a very small cell, or a capsule in Collins' case, and they both had a window through which they could look out onto the world beyond. Now, in her book Revelations of Divine Love, Julian describes her visions, and in one of them she talks about Jesus hosting a party, and she says his face was radiating love and he was bringing joy to everyone who was there. And John said, remember, that no one has seen God, but seeing Jesus revealed him to us. Now, John was an eyewitness. He was there. He saw and heard what Jesus did and said. Eyewitnesses' accounts, they're vital, they're really important. The police, the press are always looking for eyewitnesses that they can talk to. An eyewitness account is much more accurate and more reliable. It carries far more weight. So think about it. At John's eyewitness account, he said no one had seen God except by seeing Jesus. Jesus revealed God to us. Today, no one can see God either, and no one can see Jesus. What they can see is us, his family, his children. So therein lies my second challenge. When people see and hear me, or you, does my face radiate God's love? Do you bring joy to those in your presence? Like the vision of Julian of Norwich. The challenge is, if I can't say yes, my face does radiate God's love, and I do bring joy to those around me, what am I going to do about that? Thanks a lot. Bye.